Welcome, guys, to PelviBiz Podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Alhooie. Today, we have a special guest on today, Joya, the PelviBiz COO. That's on. It's amazing. And she's going to be offering her advice, and I'm going to be taking my advice on HEPs and why we believe HEPs are going to be the future of where things are moving, and it needs to be done like very clearly and accurately. So let's get into it. Why not?
So, Kelly, what does a good HEP look like? So I know a lot of people think they kind of know what an HEP is and offer it to patients, but what makes the difference between a good, effective HEP and a regular HEP?
Yeah, so I think traditionally what has happened, if we look back, is we used MedBridge or we use another system that basically you go online, they have an exercise library, you go and print out the exercises, and each session you go and you give that to the patient. And the problem here that it incurs is that it is so timely for each patient every single hour to go in there and print off new exercises that you're already probably have given the last three patients that you saw the same exercises, but maybe one or two off, right? And then you're like, here you go. And so that takes away some time in the session to do that. That also creates more work for you because some of you guys are also still doing HEPs when the patient leaves and then sending it at the end of the day. So not only are you having to do notes, but you're also then going to have to create this HEP specifically for them. Let me tell you a story. When I started out, I wanted to be so customizable and so remember that I don't want anyone to leave me because, I quit my job completely and I had no money. And I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. I got to have the best freaking results so people talk about me. Well, what I did to do that is I I would go and treat them at their homes. I was mobile. And then after the session, I would write down every single thing I did with them. I would go back to my house and do an hour long YouTube video recording exactly what I did in the session with the person. And I redid it myself, put it on YouTube as unlisted so that no one else can see it. That's how that goes. And then sent it to that client. And I said, hey, for the next week, I want you to follow this exact video. And I thought, I am so proud of myself because I did the exact sets and reps, and they just have to press the button and hit play. And they're going to follow this thing so easy, they can't say no to it. Well, what I realized is I now just did double the work that I was actually getting paid for. And it took so much energy and effort. And this is what I see most of you guys doing. You're putting in so much extra energy and effort that just isn't needed. And instead, y'all have to create systems. Because for real, if we're really honest with ourselves, it really is maybe one to two exercises that you do differently. Someone with a leakage diagnosis versus someone with a prolapse diagnosis, or someone with an urge diagnosis versus someone with a stress incontinence diagnosis. It's only one or two exercises that are different. The rest are going to be the same. So why do we believe every single time on every single week that we have to do a customized HEP for them? And why can't we systematize it? That's my question. Why?
I have a potential answer to that question that I'm wondering. Is it confidence that, we're not giving enough value? Is that why we feel as if everyone needs our time and we're still so stuck on one that you don't know if you can give them the result without it? Um,
Great
and
question.
then, you know,
Yeah. So let's stop, let's pause there because I think that's a great point. I think going back to my own journey, my own story, I don't know if I had confidence then, which is why I went back and said, I'm going to give them more of me and I'm going to make everything so streamlined because this is so different than what everyone's doing. So, of course, they're going to want to hang out with me. Did they really want to hang out with me because I made them an hour-long YouTube video that they had to actually play to get through what exercise they needed? No, I'm just being honest. No. It was actually the result that I got them during the session. That's actually what truly mattered.
So my question to you then, Kelly, is with or without that, with that video, do you think it elevated anyone's result versus if you didn't give them those videos?
No. And I say that, and that's a great point. I say that because I know half the time they didn't watch those videos because you know why? On YouTube, I can go see how many times that video has been watched. And I would go look because I was like, okay, well, were they compliant or not? And they were the only one that had the link. So if it still said zero, guess what? They weren't watching that video. And if you think about it, are y'all going to go watch every single week an hour-long video? No. But in my head, I was like, I just elevated everything. This is amazing. No, I just probably overwhelmed them and they didn't look at it anyways. But in my head, I felt really good about it.
And then I also think I've heard as well that goes into that. So say someone even has a systemized HEP. How many times have we heard that they're receiving videos from the patients to then observe them doing the exercises from the HEP? And what is that doing? So patients are sending the providers back videos of their home exercises to get evaluated. Even
Mm.
even though we streamlined our system and systematized our HEP, what is that now doing?
You're saying patients are, because we've seen this, patients are sending the providers a video of them to evaluate.
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Yes.
After the treatment. So this is they're at home. Yep, I did my exercises. Now I want Dr. Kelly to tell me again if I'm doing these correctly.
Yeah. So, what that tells me first off is the patient is confused. And when you confuse a patient and don't make things easy, then you get in trouble because the patient then is going to be like, I screw this. I give up. I don't know what to do, you know? So, the you don't want any patients sending you videos because yeah, that's a really good point. Even this past week, we had many people they're like, yeah, part of my offer is getting patients to send me videos of what they're doing. You are just, you are not using your time effectively. You're not using your time effectively. I don't need to see the video of them. We're going to address this while we're in session. We're going to address it. And maybe that's also clear expectations weren't set if that's what's happening as well. And by the way, that person is not also thinking scaling because you can't scale if you had 90 clients sending you videos every single week. How the heck are you going to scale this thing? All you're going to be doing is looking at videos. You're not going to even have time to even treat them. So please don't put that in your model if that's what you're thinking. Like, well, I'm gonna specialize and have people send me customized videos. First off, the client or the patient is not going to even want to take a video of themselves. How many women want to put themselves, especially their bodies, on a camera? Not many. Because they're gonna be like, "Oh, look at that! I don't want to do that." or oh,
Oh, I look weird.
right.
Yeah.
And then send it to someone to then critique. Like, no. Okay. So that is something to be mindful of. I think. I don't know. Did I answer the question?
Yeah. So also with HEPs, kind of what is the other options and flexibility within HEP? So is there something that they can use that to monetize off of? Can they make money off of their HEPs? What are some other options that they can leverage with it?
Yeah. So here's another story. About a year and a half ago, I was at an event and I was sitting in the crowd and I remember this guy saying, I think I'm going to charge for HEP. And I'm like, what does he mean by that? He's going to charge for HEP. It was like a foreign thing I've never even heard of. And then I got to thinking of what's the difference between an HEP slash personal training? And then I started going down that rabbit hole of trying to figure that out and try and decipher between what are we doing that's different than personal training. And then I came up with something called a performance plan, where it was like, okay, the performance plan is what we move people into after therapy. Because so therapy just solves, or coaching just solves one particular problem. So if you're a coach and you're saying, I'm going to solve leakage with jumping, you solve that problem. Then they move into a performance plan, which performance plan is a general health and wellness. Health and wellness is on the rise. Every single person should have Some of you guys say this is a wellness plan. I think it's overused. I would not say that. I call it performance plan because they want to have more energy, more life, and all the things. Okay. Or you're a therapist or a doctor and you're trying to get people to continue the habits that maybe you have created for them while you're solving that specific method. Well, then you need another plan. It's not the same thing. So I think people have to be, that's the difference between like an HEP, which is a home exercise program. That's what that stands for those people that don't know. That means, I think that means when you are in actively in treatment under a coach or a provider, that is what you're doing to solve that one issue. After that is where you can get into other programs and stuff like that, of where I believe people will still know, like you, and trust you because you got them a result of one thing. So why would they not want to stick with you and get a result of another thing? Because they know you can actually solve problems. They're not going to go then hunt out a random personal trainer if they don't know that person. They're going to be like, well, hey, who do you know? Or can you help me? Because I know you helped me with this. They already know, like, and trust you. So I think I think most of us need to think about, A, how do I currently do my HEP and how to systematize it? I think that's huge. And B, how do I provide other services or other systems that can help only elevate the core service that I'm providing to my actual clients? I think that's how we have to think.
So for someone who maybe has multiple different offers and are grasping at many different things that they have, like we said, their offer includes an HEP, but it includes review videos and it includes all these other things. What is that kind of doing to the patient when they aren't funneling into one core thing?
Yeah, you're just confusing the patient. You're not training the patient to take control of their health because now they're overwhelmed. You're probably not going to get the best result with that patient because, again, you're overwhelming them. So, the biggest thing is, I was saying before, is you have to systematize. And I believe because more people are going to want more things in their pocket, they're going to want you cloned and they're going to want it for less value. If you are not systematizing your stuff now, I truly believe you're behind the curve because that's what people want. And if you systematize, you now don't have to sell your time, or even if you clone yourself, you don't have to sell your time on how you're going to treat this person. They could ask your clone at 12 o'clock at night, and then it will tell them what to do without you even having to be involved. And you're still going to get the result. And you may even get it faster because they can get an answer like that and they can move them with way less frustration.
So when you say the word systematize, how is that different than um so when we systematize, it is saving you time, using less time. What um let me think of the word. So there's a difference between having effective systems and just having something in place, I believe. I think a
Right.
lot of people don't really know the clarity in what a system truly can do for you
Right.
versus having kind of like a way of doing something. So with the way that we systematize HEP, could you give an example of how it would look like systematized versus how someone who doesn't have it systematized
Yeah.
delivers it?
Great, great question. Someone that doesn't have it systematized is spending 15 minutes after each patient creating an HEP. So it's more time, disorganized, and you have to do more thinking. You don't want to do that. Someone that does have an actual system, which Julia is trying to get to the point of, that actually works, okay, for them and not against them, okay, is a system that on clockwork, you can have someone come in or treat them virtually and say, guess what? At the end of this session, this thing will automatically send to you because you already have a structure of how you typically treat this issue or this condition. And it's automatically going to be sent to them without you having to do anything. So I don't have to make videos. I don't have to make handouts. Everything is all included and it is there ready to go for the patient. and all they have to do is look for an email, or they have to look for an app and go on their app if you have that as well. So that's the difference. The difference is it saves you time, saves you a lot of energy. You can put your energy into something else to help grow the company instead of just strictly just targeting patient. Does it? And the patient, by the way, it's not that we're giving less value to the patient. The value still gets the same result. It just doesn't have to include you.
Mhm. So having a system in which you do something is very different than having it systematized. And then I think going into the systematizing as well of kind of what you talked about with HEP and then performance plan. When you have something systematized, it's a pathway. It's very clear. It is a very clear beginning, middle, and end. So you're not leaving them after that plan of care. You're systematizing it enough to train them enough in that system that they will still need you after the fact. So going into a little bit more systemization of how it can set expectations. So we touched a little bit about if there might be poor expectations put out, how this could help with expectation setting regarding HEP, plan of care, performance plan, all of the things.
Yeah, and you want to just be very clear. So, I mean, not just in any good business, you want as clear as expectations as possible. Meaning like, hey, once you leave here, you're going to get access to this. Or, hey, once you leave here in 2 hours, you're going to get access to this. Some of you guys for these HEPs, you're waiting a couple days because you can't get around to it. And so literally a couple days goes by and then they see you 4 more days later and you send them another thing. Well, now you're just overwhelming them as well because it's not systematized where they can get it immediately. And so that's part of being 5-star service, by the way. And that's part of elevating the compliance and the experience with the patient is when you have amazing expectations. And like I said, you do less of the work. That's just it. That's key.
So is there anything in that has been made that already has HEPs for pelvic providers that they're ready to go and ready to use that would save them time in the making yet? Or is that something that they would have to create on their own?
Yep, we have already thought of that, guys. We have a system. I think it has what over 900 exercises in it that we've created specifically for pelvic health providers that you can literally just take per diagnoses per week and you can launch it out to your people to get help to where you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And this took us, just so you guys know, this took us 6 to 7 months to build out with massive payroll going into it because, I had to pay the people to do the thing. And it's just a big undertaking. And for you to try to do that, that's why I get where some therapists get locked up on this, is because it just seems so overwhelming. And trust me, it is. But that's why we're here to take away the overwhelm. We already have a system laid out, and you guys can just take it and use it on your patients and know that they're supported with the right people that actually know, how to do it.
Yeah, guys, this is exactly what we're trying to tell you too, is that we had to systematize it because we knew how much time it was taking, and we know how much time it does take to systematize it as well. And then the difference in the results that we got from provider expectations and patients once it was systematized.
Yeah.
It makes it very easy, digestible. You increase your customer service because it's there quickly. There's no hiccups in waiting. Um, and really it's ready to go. We have it for every single pelvic diagnoses. And as well, we know some providers might not feel confident in higher level exercises, but we have all of those in there. So even if it's for education for you to learn how to better increase how many, the level of exercise that you do for your treatments, they're all in there. So definitely, if you have some questions about HEP or our HEP and kind of want to know more about it, please let us know. You can email us. With our email is in the description, or you can DM us on Instagram at PelviBiz, and we'd be happy to show you kind of what we have and what that looks like. Because you also need a system to host it on. So there's just lots of things that go into it.
Yeah, way more than people think about and how to customize it and all the things if they wanted to. And guys, any questions on this, text us as well. Text us 703-783-2388. I'm going to say it again, 703-783-2388. Any questions, we'd be happy to answer it and get back to you at normal office hours. We're fine with that. So yeah, this has been great. I think this is great to think about how to do it differently and making sure that you do have something that, one more thing I'm going to add to this. If you have your own HEP and truly know how to do it, you now have a different asset that you can sell compared to if you went on MedBridge and kept getting things from MedBridge. And so, do you guys want an asset or do you not want an asset? That's what you have to ask. And an asset is something that can work for you over and over and over again without you having to reinvent the wheel. And most of y'all are just reinventing the wheel over every single day, every single hour. And we're trying to get you to not do that because that leads to overwhelm. And we know most of our clients, the biggest thing they want to try to solve is overwhelm and get their time back. And that's what we do.
Yeah. It's a perfect transition to get into the hybrid. This is we see it coming. We are providing you guys with the tools, the systems, and everything to stay on the train and make sure you're ahead of the track so that you don't get left behind. But this would be a good transitional piece into hybrid if that's something you're considering if you're a brick and mortar. But yeah, thanks so much, Kelly, for chatting about HEP today. If
Loved
you
it.
guys are interested as well, we have our event October 19th in La Jolla, California, where you can learn even more about HEP, how to elevate your HEP, have us audit your HEP, just so that you're able to be more efficient and effective and grow the way that you want to grow.
Yeah, love that. All right, guys, make sure you reach out to us with any questions, and hopefully we see you guys at that transformational event October 19th. Talk later. Bye, guys.